This mutation is called Price of Progress, and it is being played on Malwarfare. We have two mutators active. We have killbots, we have microtransactions. So overall, it is not too difficult of a set of mutators if you are able to play someone like Stukov, for example, who doesn't really need to micro any of his units. And we can see over here that the build has been gone for Kerrigan. In terms of masteries, is a solo Kerrigan build. So we have the immobilization wave and the primary ability improvement rather than the evolution speed and the best speed cost mastery. So oh yes, it's funny how we get the microtransactions after the Diablo Immortal. It's actually kind of funny, but yeah, there we go. So we have Kerrigan and Stukov that'll be going ahead and dealing with this. Kerrigan will be doing a solo Kerrigan build, and Stukov will be basically doing Stukov. So both these commanders are really decent at dealing with the other mutator here, which is the killbots. Stukov has pretty much infinite free units which he can use to feed into the killbots, and Kerrigan has the ability of having a really powerful hero unit that is able to pretty much one-shot a lot of the units that are there on the map, combined with the fact that she can spread creep. The Nidus worms and the Omega worms that are used can spread creep around them and allow Stukov to actually put down his bunkers into position. So they synergize really well, especially on this map, because Stukov does actually struggle in being able to deal with the second security terminal, which is on this side. Or this technically it's the third security terminal. But because Stukov's creep spread mechanics are dependent on where his command centers are, Stukov tends to struggle with this side. So having Kerrigan over there can allow Stukov to actually put his bunkers and defend that side. So a very good synergy between these two commanders here for this mutation. We already have the psi emitter that is being placed on here to allow Stukov to start clearing out his expansion. Kerrigan is waiting for Kerrigan to come out before she goes ahead and starts to clear. But again, Kerrigan with this build can one base. She doesn't really need a lot of resources. She just needs a certain amount of gas so that she can get her Mega Worms up. And that's pretty much it. You want to go up to a hive, obviously, because you want to get your ability improvement. But yeah, it's not too bad for Kerrigan. So the first attack wave and the first murder bot has spawned. The kill bots are actually named differently depending on what on how many kills they require. So you have murder bot, I think you have death bots, and then lastly you have the kill bots, which require I think 15 kills. So that is the difference between the naming. We have Kerrigan out already. Immobilization or assimilation aura comes out, and Kerrigan's going to start cleaning up this side and ending up getting some of the resources as well for her ally, and just helping her ally just take the expansion. Stukov is a lot more dependent on clearing his expansion than Kerrigan is, because Kerrigan doesn't really need that extra mineral income. Eventually what Kerrigan will be doing is using the Zerglings as a mineral dump to just stall these kill bots. And there we go, we have the first kill bot over here, and Zerglings for Kerrigan already ready in position to be fed to the skill bot. And Kerrigan now has cleared their expansion and will be good to go. The next murder bot is out. We already have one Nidus worm ready for Kerrigan, because Kerrigan's build is basically dependent on these Nidus worms, just giving her the mobility that she needs and giving her the survivability as well, because Kerrigan can jump in the Nidus worm if things get a little bit too hairy. And we have the second Omega worm as well coming out. And now Kerrigan will be able to solo defend this Oran's transport for the security terminal. Let's push in here, dealing a little bit of damage and starting to clear this side. So there we go, Hydro is going to be getting picked off. And now this one overseer decides it has realizes it has made a very big mistake in on this side here. Kerrigan getting surrounded by the Zerglings. So there we go, we have the sliding move coming out for Kerrigan, ends up wiping off that attack. Now we have an assimilation aura as well for Kerrigan. So Kerrigan will be able to build up a few more resources. And these resources, again, very important for Stukov. Stukov does need the extra mineral income and the extra gas just to be able to get his stuff out and up and running. So there we go. Now we have Killbot that has unfortunately aggroed Kerrigan. Kerrigan has nothing that she can do with it. We have the suppression tower out as well. Kerrigan uses the her Zerglings to put into the Killbot here. Zerglings get put on hold position, which is the other thing you have to note, is the Zerglings will try and run away if the Killbot starts to attack. So one thing you should be doing Just putting your Zerglings on hold position. Unfortunately, those Zerglings get completely roasted by the attack from the Suppression Tower. A little bit too close to the Suppression Tower. Got aggroed, one shot by that. But that Suppression Tower is down, and Kerrigan very short on gas, and she'll be starting to build up some of those resources very quickly, because she does need to buff up her economy while Stukov starts to power up and get his bunker counts up. So there we go. Kerrigan's going to start pushing to this side, because Kerrigan is essentially going to be solo clearing this area while Stukov ramps up his base. Here we have another attack wave that's coming up now. Omega War Network gets dropped, and Kerrigan will be out here to go ahead and deal with this. And this is the importance of having these Omega Worms. If you are doing a solo Kerrigan build, as you can see over here, you need to put down the bare minimum in missions is 2 Omega Networks. But if you are doing a solo Kerrigan build, it's always better to go up for either 4 or 5 Omega Networks, especially when you start fooling the gas. You can see over here, Kerrigan is still missing out on the ability efficiency, but that's coming up right now, it's being researched. But once you have all your Kerrigan upgrades, you're not really getting any benefit for any other upgrade that you get. So you might as well just dump the extra gas into more Omega Networks. It just gives you a lot more creep spread, and it just makes life easier. Especially on this mission where you're playing Stukov, as I mentioned earlier, having the extra Omega Networks life spread creep and makes Stukov's life a little bit easier. You can see over here, Stukov is just going for a bunker build, and this bunker build is pretty much the best build you can do. Stukov already starting to push in and starting to clear this side out. Also rallying the rest of his forces over here. Kerrigan is waiting for her mobilization wave to come up before she goes ahead and clears this. And remember, this mobilization wave is an augmented immobilization wave with 30 points into that mastery, which means it does an insane amount of damage. And as soon as Kerrigan jumps in there, she'll pretty much be able to one-shot everything that is, at least most of the units that are there, a little bit squishy. But we have another attack wave that is over here that is going to be harassing Kerrigan's base. Kerrigan will have to go ahead and deal with this. So, unfortunately, I think Kerrigan might end up losing that base over there. A little bit too close. Oh, there is a very, very quick re-aggro there, and ends up saving Kerrigan's base here. But you can see here, Kerrigan jumps in, and instantly one-shots a lot of the units here. And Stukov will be going ahead and dealing with the opponent's objective. Kerrigan's safe. Unloads the Zerglings so they can go ahead and soak up the skill bot, and everything is okay on this side. Again, a bunch of Zerglings here just to keep these skill bot alive, or to keep these bunkers alive, just keep them shielded from these kill bots. Kerrigan jumps back in now after her HP has been regenerated and cleans up whatever's left of these hybrids. The only thing that Kerrigan does struggle with is the Broodlords and air units in general. They do give Kerrigan a few problems. And now we have another attack wave that is aggroing this side, but Kerrigan is going to get ready and deal with this harass wave here. There is a suppression tower that Kerrigan will have to address, but she will have to go ahead and deal with this attack wave first, because those things can end up nibbling on the Ryan's transport and causing a lot of problems. Stukov already playing hyper aggressively and starting to push into this side with this infested. Unfortunately, there's not enough creep spread here, and these units have been aggroed by that killbot over there. And yeah, for the most part, this suppression tower will end up going down. It will be a while before that happens, and now there is another attack wave on the Ryan's transport. A bunch of Zerglings here, but unfortunately Zerglings have been sent to go ahead and deal damage to this suppression tower, because it is high time before the suppression tower dies. Now those things have been put on hold position, and that killbot will end up dying off to those Zerglings after it gets the certain number of kills. And now the next suppression tower is up, and Stukov is already in position and is good to go. Kerrigan's going to go ahead and just deal with this harass wave again. Orion's transport is getting a little bit low. You don't really want to take unnecessary damage. Orion's transport heals, I think, 3000 HP per security terminal that she cleans up. So you don't really want to go below that. And now we have another killbot over here that is aggroing. Unfortunately, these infested units have a little bit too much HP. So the one thing that has happened is that the ground carapace upgrade has been given for these units. So until the killbot actually does end up struggling taking these units out. So you can see here that they are actually getting one shot now. And this transport has been saved, and there is another killbot that is making its way here. Again, because there is a chance that the killbot can spawn from here. Killbots spawn from enemy structures, and unfortunately on this map you cannot clear all the enemy structures out, because these bonus objectives are also considered enemy structures. So there is a chance that a killbot could spawn on this side. You can see here Kerrigan has not actually taken the extractors. Again, Kerrigan doesn't really need it. Kerrigan is producing some more macro hatcheries just to make some more Zerglings to be able to feed into these killbots, because again, Kerrigan doesn't really need the resources. She basically is going to be going for a solo build here, so she doesn't really need a lot of the resources, but it is important to make sure that you have enough minerals so that Stukov does not lose so many units to those murder bots here. So Kerrigan taking a little bit of extra damage, but you can see the amount of the difference in the primary ability improvement. The carapace that Kerrigan gets, or the shell I think it's called, is actually very useful. It's keeping her alive against this large swath of Amon's army over here, and this is why when you're going for a Kerrigan build, the primary ability not only serves for extra damage, but it gives you extra healing as well, because you deal more damage out of that. So it gives you the extra shielding as well. Kerrigan decides to go ahead and say hello to that killbot, and decides, you know what, I'm just going to move out of the way here. Drops the Knife Swarm, unloads the Zerglings, and now these Zerglings are going to end up getting cleared by these killbots here. And yeah, Stukov uproots all his bunkers, puts them down here now on the front line, which is really good. I think there are a few more units on this side that need to be cleaned up. They appear to be units though, so it's not really too big of a deal, but you can see here the killbot dealing me a little bit of damage, but Kerrigan decides to go ahead and start pushing into this enemy camp here. And yeah, one psionic shift here from Kerrigan just replenishes her HP. Unfortunately, Kerrigan is susceptible to the corruption ability, so you have to be careful when you choose to engage these large areas, especially when you're up against Zerg. Because the Corruptor will walk up to you and just cast this Corruption, and you start taking bonus damage, and then you just get melted. So be a little bit careful with that. There will be now an attack wave that will be spawning, and there is a killbot on this side as well. But again, there are a large number of Zerglings on here, so these Zerglings will be able to get into position and again soak up some of the damage from these killbots. Killbot ends up going down. Attack wave has started to spawn now and is making its way over here. Kerrigan decides to jump in. Uses the Psionic Shift again to clean up the Infestor and clean up these Zerglings. And Kerrigan does have the Chain Reaction upgrade as well, so that the auto attack is actually dealing a lot of damage to these Mutalisks. So she can end up cleaning up this attack wave pretty much without any hassle. And now she's good to go and defend the transport and deal with its first suppression tower that is out. Kerrigan has now also gotten some of the upgrades for the Zerglings. She's gotten the Adrenal Glands upgrade on the Metabolic Boost as well. And this is just going to be allowing Kerrigan to just take out these suppression towers a little bit quicker. So she can use the Zerglings now to go ahead and not only deal with the killbots, but you can see here a lot of microtransactions. The microtransactions really hurts when you have a large number of units. So there we go. Stukov's army is making its pathing through this area, slowly pushing through, cleaning up this side. Kerrigan, on the other hand, here goes ahead and is ready to deal with this next suppression tower that will be spawning. There is another attack wave that is spawning, but now Stukov has his bunkers in position. The bunkers have all the upgrades they need, and they're not going to have any problems dealing with this attack wave. Kerrigan here now, second suppression tower has spawned for this transport. Yeah, Kerrigan unloads all those Zerglings just to provide a little bit of extra damage. There is a lot of FPS lag as well. You're dealing with Stukov and a lot of Zerglings, so that is kind of to be expected. There we go. Is Kerrigan good? Starts to put her Zerglings back into this Swarm. Now there is another attack that will be coming up here. Stukov's army already has a front line, so the bunkers will be able to deal a little bit of damage on the back line over there. We have an infest structure that comes down onto this bunker just to keep the bunker alive, make sure it doesn't take too much damage, because it doesn't have any infested in there. It's going to be a while before we can kill off that stuff. And now Kerrigan knows how Kerrigan has not uprooted, has not unloaded the Naya Swarm. That's to make sure that the Zerglings do not get picked off by the Mutalisks and the Infestors that will be there. So only now, once the Mutalisk count is a little bit lower, Kerrigan unloads the Zerglings just to start working away on the suppression tower. And there we go. We have a killbot. You can see how the killbot spawned from that suppression tower over there. That's what I was talking about. So we have a few Zerglings that have been put on hold position, and these Zerglings will get picked off by this killbot. Killbot ends up being cleaned up. And now Kerrigan's ready to go ahead and push into the next enemy base here. Stukov has already weakened a lot of the enemy forces on this side, and Stukov is going to go ahead and try and deal with his bonus objective as well, which is okay because he is now... Stukov provides a very good amount of pushing power. Only thing I have noticed is that Stukov is only... not sure why Stukov has daring vehicle weapons. But yeah, Stukov does have the ability to constantly push and apply pressure to Amon's forces, and that is what makes Stukov really, really strong. So we can see over here, Kerrigan is good to go. Just really making our way here. There are a few swarm hosts on this side. Again, corruption. This corruptor, you have to be very careful because that bonus damage is really, really nasty. So Kerrigan is going to start working away onto this enemy camp here, and now there's another killbot here. Aggro's this nice worm. Stukov's infested, unfortunately, are nowhere to be seen. There's no unload of the Zerglings onto that nice worm there, so yeah, it'll be Stukov's problem to deal with at the moment. But Kerrigan has to be a little bit careful as to not die over here. I think Kerrigan died? Yeah, Kerrigan ended up dying over there because of that Corruptor. Corruptor Broodlords and stuff are very, very difficult to deal with. And this is somewhat unfortunate because now that Kerrigan is gone, Stukov will have to go ahead and start pushing to the side. But again, Stukov is not really going to have too many problems there. Stukov has his melee attacks as well, so he's going to make his infested units really, really strong. And again, now we have 3 killbots on this side, each requiring 15 kills. And that is going to basically be absorbing a lot of Stukov's army. And which is unfortunate because now Orion's transport is going to get focused down by these killbots. But now there's an unload of the nice worm onto these killbots. These killbots will be able to deal a little bit of damage and focus down the Zerglings instead. So there we go. That is the unload. Kerrigan decides to go ahead and deal with that Hybrid Dominator. Hybrid Dominator ends up getting cleaned up, and now we have another killbot on this side. There's also harassing, so there's a little bit of an unload here. Unfortunately, yeah, okay, so it's a manual unload right now, just to make sure there's just enough Zerglings so that the rest of the Zerglings do not end up just wasting their time parked on this side. There are another bunch of killbots on here as well, and Orion's transport is getting attacked by that Spore Crawler, but Stukov decides to go ahead and deal with those killbots. There's an immobilization wave that goes down, instantly one-shots a large number of the units in that enemy camp here. Just an Ultralisk and the hybrids and a little bit of HP left on the aberrations, but that is pretty much all cleaned up now. There's another killbot here to provide a little backup for Kerrigan, and now there are a lot of killbots that spawn here, and because this is one of the very few areas that are left with enemy units, tons of killbots will be dropped on this side. Kerrigan does end up getting focused fired down. Kerrigan has to jump out of the way, uses the psionic shift to get out of the way, but now she's getting focused fired down by those killbots. Those killbots are going to be dealing a little bit of damage. Kerrigan manages to survive here behind Stukov's army, and now the first suppression tower has spawned and ends up going down. Stukov is going to start applying a lot of pressure to this enemy base, just starting to clear the side out to prevent the killbots from spawning in this area, which means the killbots will only spawn from the bonus objective locations over here. Kerrigan is already in position to deal with the next set of suppression towers that will spawn, which is on this one at the moment, and there might even be an unload. So make sure that Kerrigan has to make sure that there's no enemy units that can take out her Zerglings by dealing a lot of damage. And now there's a killbot on this side that is harassing that Mega Worm here. But, and there's another one here, but this thing is going to get destroyed by the kill count. The killbot does end up taking out that Mega Worm. But again, there is a slow trickle of infested units here that should end up taking out that killbot. And Kerrigan, again, like flowing a lot of minerals. And another thing I've noticed is flowing a lot of minerals there because I think there's a rally point mistake here. See the number of Omega Worms that have been created though in the process. But more or less okay. So Stukov now is going to go ahead and help Kerrigan push into the side. The mobilization wave comes out, instantly one-shots a large number of units on that side. And over here, the suppression tower has been cleaned up by Stukov. So Stukov will end up taking out the enemy spawn as well there, along with the suppression tower. And now there are a lot of killbots on this side, and the killbots have started to make their way towards the allied bases because Kerrigan did not unload those Zerglings, but now there are a bunch of Zerglings here put in hold position, and they will be able to deal with that. Unfortunately, there's still more killbots on Stukov's base. Stukov's base is going to be getting hammered a little bit on this side, but this is pretty much the end of the mission because that is the last security terminal that has been cleaned up, and that is Orion's transport saved, and that is GG.